I want to welcome everyone to our orientation for the psychology department. I'm Dr. Melinda Blackman. I am the department chair for the Department of Psychology at Cal State Fullerton, and welcome. We're so glad you're able to join us. I want to share a little bit about our department. We are one of the largest majors on campus. We have over 3,000 students on campus majoring in psychology, which is fantastic. We have 30 full-time faculty and we have 50 part-time faculty. And we have five support staff members who are wonderful and help us out tremendously. Our main office, and Dr. Peisig will go over this, is on the top of the Humanities Building, 8th floor. And we have today Dr. Jessie Peisig, who is our lead faculty undergraduate coordinator advisor, and Dr. Jennifer Trevitt, who is a faculty undergraduate advisor as well. I'm just going to share a little bit more about the department, and then they're going to take over and talk about the specifics with advising and coursework. But just some helpful words about being a freshman in our department. We have so many wonderful resources to take advantage of, just to become a part and get the most out of being a psychology major. We have several psychology clubs, as Dr. Peisig will share. If you are a psychology major, you're automatically a member of the psychology department's student association, and they have wonderful brown bag luncheons and seminars about careers in psychology, about how to get into graduate school, wonderful speakers. So definitely reach out and be a part of that. We have the Latinx student organization, which is fantastic. We have our honor society that Dr. Peisig will talk about in psychology. And one of my favorite events each year, something to remember for the spring, is Psychology Day, where our student clubs put on a day devoted to psychology topics. We have fantastic guest speakers from a variety of different areas, panels about how to get into graduate school. And we also have some of our students, past alum, talking about and sharing their advice. Panels about what you can do with a psychology degree as well. So keep a lookout for this special day in the spring. But definitely take advantage of the clubs. We also have peer mentors, which are other psychology majors that are here to help you and candidly, honestly answer questions that you have about psychology and coursework. Let's see some other opportunities just in the future. If you're thinking about going to graduate school, maybe for a master's or a PhD, good thing to do some research with a faculty member. Get your feet wet to help that faculty member conduct research by analyzing their data, helping develop their research plan, or running participants. So that is another opportunity to think about for the future. Now, I know you're a freshman and there's a lot of information I'm throwing at you, but just some things to keep in mind as you go through our program. And definitely always, I would say at least once a year, stop in at our undergraduate advisement office that Dr. Peisig and Dr. Trevitt are going to share more information about, as they are there to help you choose classes and navigate your way through this process. But I'm delighted to have you all as psychology majors, and I will hand the program over to Dr. Peisig and Dr. Trevitt. Welcome.
Hello, welcome everyone. As Dr. Blackman said, I'm the coordinator for psychology advising. So we have a big office with 5 faculty and 2 graduate students who can meet with you. And as Dr. Blackman said, you should come at least once a year. We would recommend every semester, especially as you get really into your major and you're starting to want some assistance, maybe picking classes or making sure you're on track with the major. For your psych major, you come meet with us. I would also recommend you go to the Academic Advisement Center, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. Academic Advising Center will help you with your GE classes. And that is going to be especially important as your first year students, and you're going to be spending a lot of time taking your GEs initially. So you want to become really familiar with the Academic Advising Center as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and talk a bit about our major. So just one second. All right. I do want to say that you can ask questions in the chat. Dr. Trevitt will try to answer them. She's also admitting students who are in the waiting room, and there are 177 of you right now. So she will try her best to answer your questions in chat, but she may not get to all of them. And also she may not answer those that we're going to cover later on in the presentation. So if she doesn't answer your specific question, don't worry about it. We'll probably get to it, and we'll probably have time at the end as well to answer some questions that you can ask verbally. And if for some reason we don't get to your question during this presentation, you can always meet with us individually. We have appointments available, and we can email. There's all kinds of ways we can answer your question. We try to do the best we can in our short period of time we have with you, and we do have a very large group. Psychology is a really big major. It is, I think we're up to about 3,000 students, which means you have a large cohort that you can use to your advantage, make friends, get information, have as peer mentors. So just to let you know who we are, I'm Dr. Peisig, as Dr. Blackman mentioned, and I work with Dr. Carmody, Dr. Coons, Dr. Trevitt, and Professor Yura in the Psychology Advisement Office as the faculty advisors. So there's 5 of us, but we also have 2 graduate assistants, so graduate students who are also available for appointments, and that they are Jackie Rode and Frank Reyes. And over the years, because you're starting out as a first year student at Cal State Fullerton, some of these names may change. So you may not see the exact same people in the office 2 years from now, but we will always have as well-staffed an office as we can to make sure we can see you and answer all your questions. Right. So I want to talk a little bit about Cal State Fullerton. It is a big university. We have 45,000 plus students. It's very ethnically and racially diverse, so really diverse environment. We're officially a Hispanic serving institution, and we also qualify as an Asian serving institution. So we have, again, lots of diversity, which makes for a great environment, right? So a large campus like ours means that there's lots of opportunities. We have resources for things like legal help and anything you can think of, study abroad. We have offices for the LGBTQIA community. So lots of opportunities there for you to find something and get resources to help you succeed in college. We have lots of clubs and organizations. Now we're going to talk about the psychology clubs, but psychology clubs aren't all we have to offer. There are clubs for different sports that are more recreational versus the more being on an actual team at the university. You can do something just recreationally. There are clubs for different interests. So I would highly recommend that you explore the clubs. This fall, we're going to be somewhat virtual, somewhat on campus. So some of the clubs may be meeting virtually, some of them may be meeting in person. Either way, I know that the clubs have done a really good job of trying to keep it connected and keep things going and keep things fun and interesting for students. So I would take advantage of that and find people that like the same things as you or have some similar interests. So high school versus university. There are going to be some changes, as I'm sure you expect. Some of you may have already taken some college classes, so maybe you have an idea about the difference. But even if you haven't, we're going to help you with that transition. So campus engagement is a really big part of doing well in college, at university, becoming involved on the campus. We find that students who become engaged in the campus, who are participating in clubs and different activities, tend to have a higher graduation rate than those who don't. So becoming involved is really important. And it probably is partly because it provides you with a social network. It makes you feel connected. And we really want to help you feel that connection. With your psychology bachelor's degree, you have a huge number of options. A bachelor's degree in psychology is extremely versatile. So these are just some of the main areas that could be potential career directions for you. So things like human services. And I think a lot of psychology majors start out thinking that this is the direction they're going to take, human services. I know that's what it was for me. Something like counseling or therapy or crisis work, those kinds of things where you're actually being something like a therapist, right? And a lot of us decide to go into psychology because we think that's the direction we go in. And then as we take psychology classes, we realize that there are a huge number of other opportunities. So for me, I started out thinking I was going into counseling, but then I later discovered that research was really where my passions were. So I do academic research, but there are other venues you can use if you have a passion for research. Things like doing market research or data analysis. And we make sure that our majors have a really strong background in mathematics, in quantitative sorts of things. So you're going to be able to do that, those kinds of jobs, because you're going to have the right background. You're going to have the training for it. And a lot of companies would be very lucky to have a Cal State Fullerton trained psychology major to help them with their market research and get their company to market the right things. Administration, so things like fundraising and grant writing, we're going to really make sure that you get the writing skills you need. Community relations, again, psychology is going to help you be able to do these, pursue these jobs, right? These careers. Education, a lot of our students go into education. Could be teaching, you could be going into something like adult learning or training or student affairs. Again, we give you that strong background in human behavior and behavior in general so that you can um, become involved in those kinds of careers or pursue those. Human resources, a lot of our students actually go into business, and one area of business is that human resource management, right? So some students who do that will get like a minor in business, right? So that might be a good direction if you're interested in that. So things like recruiting people to hire, labor relations, or organizational development. These are great career choices for someone with a bachelor's degree in psychology. General business and industry, so not talking specifically about human resources, but maybe things like sales or management or public relations. Again, that psychology background is really going to be beneficial for you in understanding human behavior and being able to use that knowledge in order to pursue a career, right? So our psychology degrees are incredibly versatile. So what is it like to be a psychology major at Cal State Fullerton? Well, most of our classes are pretty small. Here we have a couple examples of smaller classes and some professors. This is Dr. Beals. She is one of our professors who teaches things like the psychology of the LGBTQ community. So she's teaching some fun class, social psychology, one of my favorite classes, talking about, you know, what it's like when humans are in groups. So cool stuff. Again, most of the classes I teach and that these professors teach are going to be 40 students or less. We do have some larger classes that are more like 100 students. So there are some larger, but not anywhere near the same kind of sizes that you might see at a University of California, like a UC Irvine, where you might have 1,000 students in a class. We tend to keep our classes smaller. And even in the large classes where we have 100 students, we really try to get to know the individual students. So definitely come see us during office hours. Come and interact with us, whether it's Zoom office hours or in person. We want to see you. Stay after class, chat with us. We want to get to know all of you. So you know, we have a lot of opportunities to work directly with faculty doing things like research or working as a classroom assistant. Those can be great opportunities if you want to go on to graduate school, but they don't have to be graduate school opportunities. They could be things that just help you prepare for any career. So having that experience of working one-on-one and working in a small lab where you're doing research or you're helping with a class, those are going to be great experiences for a lot of different jobs, a lot of different career paths. This is our website. It's this is the web address. I'm going to take you to it and sort of give you an idea of what it looks like. So here's our web page. We're always trying to update it, make it more useful. So you know, always let me know if you have any suggestions for things that we can add or things that might make it a better. But we do have several tabs here. So here's a tab for just scheduling advisement. You can go there. And this is how you would schedule an advising appointment. That's one way you can go. You can also go under advisement up here. So at the top, you can see advisements there as well. And this is a page that doesn't just take you to an appointment, but gives you sort of some more information, right? So additional information, but again, you can still get to our appointments here. This is the appointment scheduling page. So for us in advising, this is going to be an important one to show you. You can see there's two different kinds of appointments to select. As first year students who are not about to graduate, you can pick either one of these. Either one is totally fine. So what I would do is maybe just check on one and then check the other and see what dates are available. You can see here that for the psychology advising / grad check, there are appointments available on the 17th, the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. So I'm going to just show you here that on the 17th, you could pick a 2:30, a 2:45, a 3:15, a 3:30, or a 3:45. If you select one, hit continue, you would just put in your information, first, last, your phone number, and your email. It's important to put your email here because that's how you're going to get your notification of the Zoom address, because now we're doing these online, so they're over Zoom. That will be transitioning. Some of them will be in person, some will be online, eventually going back to mostly in person, I think. So, keep checking back to get more information. But again, we advise you to do this once a semester or at least once a year, particularly as you start out, you're not going to be taking as many psych classes. So you could probably come in once a year until you get more into your psychology classes. We also ask that you put in your campus-wide ID when you make an appointment. That's important because that allows us to look up your information before you come in, and we can look for anything on your TDA that looks like something we need to talk about. So we can sort of get a feel for what it is that might be important to discuss before you come to your meeting, to make sure that we make the best use out of those 15 minutes. So we can cover a lot in 15 minutes because we do a lot of preparation in advance. So this is one of the things that you can get to via the psychology webpage. You can also look up faculty. So you can see here our faculty, all their names, their office numbers, and their email addresses. So if you ever want to see, where to find someone, how to email them, it's all here. Right, so everything is here. We also have other things like their research. We have different type of faculty, our full-time faculty or lecturers. We also have faculty research. So if you want to get a feel for what kinds of research our faculty do, and they do a huge variety of research, lots of really cool things. Things like how diet affects behavior, things like how, and very different things from that, like how a zebrafish learns, right? So a zebrafish larva, so something almost microscopic. How does it learn, and what does it look like in the brain of that zebrafish? And I do things like study how facial attractiveness is affected by women wearing makeup. So a huge variety of things. We have faculty who study deception, who just study trial behaviors, work behaviors, any of a number of things. So I would at some point take a look at this faculty research summary, see what people are doing. Maybe someone's research really speaks to you, and you can maybe see if they would like a research assistant. So you can help with their research and become involved. All right, so again, there's lots of things here, things for students, ways to contact us. All the resources I'm talking about today, or all the topics I'm talking about today in my slides, we have those resources on our website as well. So I would take some time, if I were you, to check it out and become familiar. And if you have any other questions, just let us know. All right, so this is the major. I'm going to go through the different classes that you should be taking. The first class you should take is Psych 101, Intro to Psychology. So for most of you, that's the first class you'll take at Cal State Fullerton in your major. Some of you may have AP Psychology. So for some of you, this is not something you need to take. And for you, then your first class is going to be Intro to Statistics, right? So for most of you, one of those two is going to be the first class you take. So you can see here that I recommend that you take Intro to Psychology in spring 2021, and that maybe you take something like Critical Thinking in fall, or let me see, this should actually be, sorry, this should be like 2022, sorry. Fall 2021, spring 2022. But the idea is that you should maybe take your Intro to Psychology in the spring and maybe critical thinking in the fall. The reason why I say that, right, the reason why we tell you to take Intro to Psychology in the spring is because we want to give you a semester to sort of get used to the campus or get used to college life, right? Because in the fall, you're going to be just getting accustomed to things. Maybe if you're coming to campus, you need to figure out where to park. I'm going to have to do that too, because it's been a while since I've been on campus, right? So we need to figure out where we're going to park, where we're going to, where we eat lunch, where we do all those things. So we usually recommend that you kind of wait a little while until spring semester to take your intro to psych class until you're used to campus. If you feel comfortable taking your intro to psychology class now, you can go ahead and register for it for fall, right? That is really your choice, right? So it's something that you can opt to do. So these are your lower division requirements. I want you to keep in mind that those lower division requirements at Cal State Fullerton need to be taken separate semesters. So they need to be taken 101 one semester, 202 the following semester, or so 201 the following semester, and 202 the semester after that, and 300 the semester after that. So this 101, 201, 202, 300 sequence, they have to be taken in separate semesters. You can't take 202 along with 300. So that's just something to keep in mind, that they do have to be taken in separate semesters. And the reason we do this is because these classes build on one another, right? So they're actually building up the knowledge slowly. So you start out with your intro class, then you take your statistics class and you build on that with research methods. And then you build on that with your intermediate research methods and statistics. And once you have those 4 classes, you can take your lab. Once you have these 3 classes, you can take your experimental classes. And I'll get to those in the next, on the next page. The other class here that's listed is 495, which is the field placement. And we say, we recommend you take that in your 3rd or 4th year, right? So basically save that until you're closer to graduation. So that is also called the internship class. And we have a web page devoted just to the internship class with lots of information. So if you want more information about the internship class, you can go check that out. All right, so moving on. These are the experimental classes that I was just talking about. These experimental classes, the lectures and the lab are actually separate classes. So you register for them separately. The lectures we recommend you take in your 3rd or 4th year, and the lab as well. So later on, right? So you wouldn't be taking them in years 1 or 2 usually. You'd wait till you're a little further on. So these classes usually have some papers, you know, a fair amount of writing involved. And they do require, the lecture requires that you have 101, 201, and 202 completed. So basically intro to psychology, intro to stats, and research methods. Your lab requires the added class of Psych 300, right? So Psych 300 is also required. And again, we recommend you take those about your 3rd or 4th year. Because remember, in your 1st and 2nd year, you're really going to be taking a lot of your GEs and just starting that sequence of psychology classes. Next, we have a couple categories that only require 101 as a prerequisite. So these may be classes you can take a little bit earlier on. So while you're finishing up or while you're working on that sequence of intro, stats, research methods, and you're thinking, but gosh, I'd really like to take an actual psychology course that has content related to psychology, not just stats and research methods, which are great and fun. But, you know, maybe you're very interested in abnormal behavior. So things like different kinds of mental illnesses, you really want to learn more, or maybe you really like social psychology or developmental, you're interested in how humans develop. You can take these classes as soon as you have completed 101, right? So Psych 101. And you need to have 2 of those, right? These also will fulfill, when you fulfill your 2 classes from here, they'll also fulfill a GE requirement. Here we have 311, 317, 362, 391. These are what we consider applied classes, and you need to take 1 of those. So 1 out of the 4 you need to choose. Now let's say that you actually like 2 from this category. You're like, I want to take industrial, organizational, and educational. Both of those actually are really great topics. Excuse me. So if you were to take an extra class in any of these categories where there are 300 level classes, those would count as electives. Excuse excuse me, so you need 9 units of electives, which is 3 classes. So if you were to take an extra third class in this category or a second class in this second category here, those extra classes would become your electives, right? You can also take classes that don't appear here. They're just classes that are in psychology. And in fact, any psychology class that's 300 or 400 level will count as an elective, except for 495 and 494. So 495 and 494 do not count as electives. Those are special classes. Again, your 495 is that field placement class, the the internship class, and it counts separately as part of the major, right? So it's one of those specific requirements. And 494 is classroom assistant or peer mentor class. And that is a very special class where you actually are a peer mentor or you are a classroom assistant and you're assisting a professor, you're assisting students. And in that case, we don't count it as an elective, but it does count towards the units towards graduation. So you do need 120 units to graduate. It would count towards that, but it does not count directly towards the major. So keep that in mind. 494 does not count towards the major. So hopefully that makes the major clear. And we have this on our website as well. We have all the classes laid out. Oh, I will mention that you also will need to take an English class to fulfill your upper division writing requirement, English 301, right? And not every major is required to take that specific class. Every major has a specific class that will, or more than one class that fulfills the writing requirement. For psychology majors, it's English 301. So be sure to keep that in mind as part of your course plan as well. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with what a syllabus is, or plural is syllabi. This is something that's really important at the college level. A syllabus is really going to be your roadmap to a class. It's going to tell you everything you need to know about what's assigned, when it's due, what you should be working on. It has your textbook, your readings. It's going to lay everything out. It's going to also have the rules, whatever rules the professor has for class, about whether you can have a laptop in class, what kinds of, is that allowed? Is talking allowed? What kinds of things does the professor want to have in this class? Because it usually has everything laid out in great detail, we would really recommend that you take the time to read every syllabus for every class very carefully. What we find as professors is that a lot of times students have questions that could really be answered by reading the syllabus. So we recommend that you read these carefully. And then once you've read the syllabus, when you come into office hours and we chat, you can ask questions that maybe get more details about what's on the syllabus. So rather than focusing on things that are already in the syllabus, you can go beyond the syllabus and ask even, get even more detail, right? Office hours are a great resource for finding out more. Maybe you do have a question. What do we mean by the paper? Like, what kind of formatting are we expecting? Things that might be in the syllabus. What kinds of readings are these? Where do I find the readings? Those kinds of things might be things you could bring to office hours, or just details about the topic. Maybe you want to know more about something, or maybe you're confused about a concept. Those are perfect things to bring to office hours. But office hours don't have to be about the class. They could be about the university. Things you want to know about. Let's say I have a learning disability. How do I get that approved by the university so I can get the appropriate accommodations? What if you want to know about the psychology clubs, or maybe you just want to hear more about going to graduate school? Those are all great reasons to go to office hours as well. So office hours don't have to be about the class. They can be about other things too. I love it when students come by my office hours and we can chat about psychology and all the things that I love about, being a psychology professor and studying psychology, which I'm sure you share. And I find that my students really help me remember how enthusiastic I was as a student and keep it fresh. So I love chatting about psychology with my students. For you as a student, we're a resource, right? We can be a resource on the topic as we're experts on whatever topic we're teaching, but also, maybe just, we can tell you where to find things on campus. We can help you figure out, what your career path is going to be. We can talk about it, we can chat. So The faculty, the graduate assistants, and the undergraduate course assistants or UCAs in your classes all have office hours. And we all sit there out by ourselves an awful lot with no one coming to our office hours. I was really happy today, actually. A student came to my office hours and we spent so much time talking about how much we love the topic we're studying, which is animal behavior. And we told animal stories and the things that we'd experienced. And we had a great time. And this was a great thing, a great amount of fun for both of us. But we also talked about, a question about an assignment. So those are all perfect things to bring to office hours. Office hours also give you a chance for us to get to know you, faculty to get to know students. And this is really important if you're a psych major, for psych professors to get to know you so that we can write letters of recommendation for you. Right. This is going to be really important if you're going to graduate school. But even if you're not going to graduate school, a lot of my students need references. So, a potential employer wants to know about a student. Are they reliable? Are they a go-getter? There are things they want to know about how this person is going to perform on the job. And if I've spent a lot of time in office hours chatting with you, I'm going to know about those things. I'm going to know about your passion for psychology. I'm going to know that you're a hard worker. I'm just going to have a lot more information than just your grade in the class. So getting to know faculty by coming to office hours, by chatting after class, even if the class is on Zoom, that works too. You can stay behind and have a little conversation, making meetings to meet with your professor. All those things are going to help you get to know them and them to get to know you so that they can be good references for you. And I've done that for probably hundreds of students at this point. And I'm happy to do it for more students in the future, as all of us are. We want to help you get to the next stage of your career. So, and I do say go prepared with specific questions, but those can be pretty vague. And, I want to know more about what graduate school is like, could be a question that you come to office hours with. All right, so this is an example of a syllabus, just how one looks like. You can see they're kind of long, but they have a lot of detail. And again, what the professor's trying to do is put all the stuff you need to know in one place so you can always look for it as a reference. And then if you want more detail, we can give it to you, but we try to put it all here for you. We have things like our learning goals. So what is the goal of this class? What are you supposed to be learning? And also, again, the things that are really important, like due dates and grading and all of that. So it's all here in the syllabus. Psychology department has a number of clubs. And I know Dr. Blackman mentioned them already. I'm going to go through them in some detail. We have Psy-Chi, which is the Honor Society for Psychology. It's an international organization. So the wonderful thing is if you say I'm in Psy-Chi, that people all over the world are going to recognize that. Right. So I was in Psy-Chi when I was a young psychology student many years ago in Minnesota. And there are other students all over the country and all over the world who have been in Psy-Chi and people who know what Psy-Chi is. So your future employer, if you put that on your resume, will know what Psy-Chi is if they were a psychology major. It is well known. So that's something you want to think about joining. Now, you do have to have a minimum GPA because it is an honor society. And I believe the GPA is 3.2 overall and then 3.5 or above in the major. Right, so it does have a minimum GPA, so good goals to have in order to qualify for Psy-Chi, and you do have to have a minimum number of psychology classes. We do have a Facebook page that is for Psy-Chi and for all the clubs. I believe they have Facebook pages where you can see what events they're hosting and learn how to join. The Psychology Department Student Association, or PDSA, is another great organization. And this is open to all psychology majors and minors. It doesn't matter what your GPA is for that. This is a great organization for all students to join. In order to be an active member, you have to attend a certain number of meetings, but the meetings are really fun. Again, they do social events, and just like Psy-Chi as well, but they also do career-oriented events. Psy-Chi events are often geared towards those going to graduate school, whereas PDSA are a combination of graduate school and people who are going to take their bachelor's degree and start a career with that. So We try to, both clubs try to provide a lot of resources for our students. And the last organization that is specifically psychology is the Latinx Student Psychological Association, or LSPA. And that student association, again, does all kinds of career-oriented things. I get their weekly emails. They're very good about, once you sign up, you get their weekly report, so they'll tell you what's going on. That's really nice. They do some fundraisers, I've noticed, some social things, and fundraisers for things like mental health, and all kinds of fun stuff. So I would definitely check out all three of these organizations. All right. So a little bit more about psychology at Cal State Fullerton. I believe Dr. Blackman mentioned peer mentors. Peer mentors have office hours. They're there to help you with reading over your papers, with looking over your homework, or helping you with a homework problem you've gotten stuck on that you just don't know, you're not sure what step to take next. The peer mentor office often has between 15 and 20 students. They put in a certain number of hours every week. So again, office hours. And if when they're physically in the office, they're in H Humanities 525B, but they also have online office hours, and they have been having them for a while now. So they're available online, and in the fall we'll be publishing all that availability. Again, this is great if you're struggling in a class, but it's also great if you're not struggling in a class. You just want someone else to read your paper, and give you give you some feedback. That I know I appreciate getting feedback on my papers, because sometimes it's great to have someone else read it over and let you know, is this good? Are there things I've missed? Are there ways I can improve this? And the peer mentor office can help with that. Can help you run your program in SPSS, how to run an analysis, any of a number of things. So I'd highly recommend going to them. You don't have to wait till you're struggling in a class, just maybe if you want some extra help to make sure that you do really well in your classes. We also have the psychology student lounge, that's also humanities, and it's right outside the peer mentor office in 525. And as we start to open up and move back to campus, we will be using our spaces again. And so this is set aside for psychology students. We have places to eat, we have a refrigerator, a microwave, all those kinds of things for students to use and feel comfortable. And this is again an area set aside just for students, not for faculty. And again, I'd encourage you to get involved, join clubs, explore the campus as soon as you can. I know some of you won't be on campus in the fall yet, but when you can come to campus physically, come and enjoy it. There's often events on the quad, like music and food to eat and all kinds of wonderful things. The campus is a really vibrant, exciting place to be. And again, as I said, those who get involved with the campus, who become part of the community, are much more likely to finish their degrees. And we want that for all of you. We're a team to help you finish. All right, so more resources. Again, talking about a team to help you finish, we have a lot of advisors on our campus. Unlike some campuses or community colleges, we actually have different types of advisors that specialize to hopefully give you the best advising experience we can. So I'm coming to you from the major advising. So I'm the coordinator for psychology advising. And so we help you with your psych major classes, if you're a minor in psychology, and maybe helping you think about what minor might go with psychology. We help sort of point you in the right direction of getting internships, career questions, graduate programs, all those things are things that we can address. We mostly spend a lot of our appointments focusing on making sure you're taking the right classes, right? So that you can finish on the time scale that you want. So we're here to help you finish when you want to finish. The other person or other office that you'll want to see is the Academic Advisement Center, right? And so that is going to be an office where you can get your GE requirements addressed. Right, so we have general education requirements, and they can also go over your overall degree requirements and help you with maybe some major or minor exploration. If you're thinking of maybe double majoring or adding a minor, they can help with that as well. So that's the Academic Advisement Center. Again, whenever we have a GE question, we generally are going to refer you to the Academic Advisement Center because they're the experts. They know all the ins and outs of GE classes. Lastly, we have our Student Success Center, and every college has one. So we have our Humanities and Social Sciences Student Success Center, and we have a great team there, just the same as we have in the Academic Advisement Center and your Psychology Advising Office. We have a team of people, and they're located in our Humanities building, and they can help you with things like academic probation support. If you end up on academic probation, they can help you get back on track. Study abroad. A lot of our psychology majors study abroad. They spend a semester somewhere else. And it's a wonderful opportunity to see another country, to experience another culture. And we help to make sure that those classes you take will apply to your degree, so that you can stay on track for graduation as well. Graduation planning and support. So as you get closer to graduation, the Student Success Center is going to make sure you have everything you need and that nothing gets missed. They're experts at finding those bits on your TDA that maybe others that, other people didn't see, things that we can fix, things that we can address. And any kind of other academic support like holds on your TDA, that kind of thing, the Student Success Center can help you with. These three offices, we work together. Again, our job is to make sure that you graduate in the timeline that you want and that you're able to pursue the career that you're hoping to pursue. We want to keep you on track to that career, that dream job, right? So we all work together. So if there's something that I can't do, I'll often refer you to someone, a specific person you can talk with in the Student Success Center, or I'll let you know when the drop-in appointments are for the Academic Advisement Center so you can double check. Our goal is to make sure that everything goes smoothly for you at Cal State Fullerton and that you are successful. So what I would say about psychology at Cal State Fullerton is that the coursework is challenging, right? So it's not going to be a walk in the park easy, but it's also enjoyable, right? So we're going to challenge you to learn new things, to really, show your full potential, right? So we're going to have all kinds of classes that are going to maybe be on topics that you didn't think you liked, but maybe you'll find a new passion by taking that class that you didn't realize was there. Right. So the coursework is challenging, but I think it does really help you fulfill achieve your goals and really become that person who can get hired for the career that you want. Psychology is a low unit major. So another thing to keep in mind is that almost all students will have the opportunity to do either a double major or a minor. So I'd say most psychology students have a minor. You don't have to, it's not required. So if you don't want to, it's not something you need to do, but usually you're gonna have a lot of units left to fulfill, right? So you're gonna have a fair number of units remaining, and that's gonna be something that you can fulfill with a minor. And there are so many great minors on campus: child and adolescent development, criminal justice, sociology, biology, huge numbers of things that you can do. Business, there's a marketing minor, right? So that's only 15 units. You can do something more human resources related, right? So there's a huge variety of things you can do. I've seen everything with psychology majors. I've seen dance minors, art minors, like I said, biology, chemistry, philosophy. There's just a limitless number of wonderful minors. Human services is another popular one. So depending on what your career goals are, you can pick a minor that really help you get closer to that career goal, or you can just pick something that looks fun, right? A topic that you really find enjoyable. Anthropology, who knows, whatever it is for you, you can follow your passion with your minor and really use it to complement your major. So have fun with that for sure. All right. Another thing about psychology at Cal State Fullerton is that the professors really care, right? We are passionate about teaching. We are really like to be involved on campus with our students in classroom, in the laboratory. And we like that student interaction at Cal State Fullerton. That's probably why you picked it, because we are actually a teaching oriented institution where we want to spend a lot of time with our students. So, don't hesitate to ask. We do care. We do want to provide you help, even if we seem a little intimidating at first in a classroom. Rest assured that we are there to help you, right? So even if you're not sure, come to office hours, get to know us. All of us are here to help you, and our job is to make sure that you learn and that you succeed in the major. So again, I would encourage you to become involved and become a big part of the major. And the last thing I want to leave you with is my email address before we open it up to some more questions. So again, my name is Dr. Peisig. You can email me at jpeisig@fullerton.edu. So I'll pause a moment here to give you a chance to look that over, or take a screenshot or write it down, whatever is going to work for you. If you have questions, right? So if there are questions you have about the major, questions you have about how to get involved, you want the contact information for a club, feel free to email me and I'll point you in the right direction. If I don't have the answer, I'll answer your questions. So again, this is my email. Feel free to contact me. We do have some time, I think, about a little over 10 minutes. So let's see if we have questions. Those of you who have questions could go ahead and verbally ask them. Maybe raise hands if you need be. Anyone want to ask a question? Anyone? I see. I'm going to look in
Is
the.
there a way that I can get a one-on-one advising before I sign up for my classes?
Let's see. So there are appointments available. I'm not. When does your registration open? So when are you able to register?
10 a.m. on the 21st.
Okay, 10 a.m. on the 21st. So there are appointments available this Thursday. I'm going to stop. I'm going to actually maybe go look at the appointments if you hold on for a moment. So I did show you, so the way to find the Psychology Advising website is I usually just do a search. So there are appointments available. We just made some more. So the problem is we're in the middle of orientation and we are, our appointments are filling up really fast, but we are adding more appointments all the time. So if you find that you go to look and it's currently full, we will be adding more appointments. But the one-on-one appointments are on our advising page. They're through this link right here, schedule your appointment online. So you can see here is, there's some on the 17th, so that would be beforehand. So you can sign up for those. And again, we'll probably be adding a few more here and there. So there were a lot available this morning, but we've been talking to about 600 students today. And as you can imagine, that makes the appointments fill up fast, but we'll be adding more. So you can check back if it's currently out of appointments, we will be adding more later.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Someone had their hand raised. No, I've lost it.
What classes do you recommend for everyone that's like barely starting off to take?
Well, at this point, you're going to be taking GE classes mostly. Like I said, the first class you start with was maybe Psych 110, which is our, our class on problem solving, or the Psych 110 class. Oops, I'm trying to find that on my slides. Hold on a moment. That could be something you take your first semester because it's a GE class, but it's a psychology class. So that could be good to start off with. Definitely a class you can do right away and fulfills a GE. But other than that, they're going to be mostly non-psychology classes, right? So where is it? Here, your critical thinking and psychology. Sorry, I was just forgetting the title, but the Psych 110 class is when you can do your first semester. And that's something that they're going to go through when what classes they suggest for the first semester. They should be going through that from the Academic Advisement Center, or the success team should be going through their recommendations for the first semester, because you're going to be starting with your GE classes. Right. Let's see, do we still need to do GE classes if we have an associate's degree? Yes, you do. Everyone who transfers to Cal State Fullerton, it comes to Cal State Fullerton, even if you have some GE classes done, needs to do a minimum of upper division classes here at Cal State Fullerton. Psych 110 is a GE, right? It covers one of the GE requirements. Other questions, verbal questions? We have a few more minutes left.
I just wanted to clarify something, or
You know how you're recommending for us to take the Psych 110 class first? We still need to take both of them, right? We can't take either or. You're saying to take both, just you're recommending to take that one first?
Oh, 101? Yes, you need to take 101 for the psych major. This is just a really good way the Psych 110 is a really good way to sort of get your feet wet in psychology, fulfill a GE requirement, as well at the same, so it gives you kind of a double thing. It allows you to take a psych class. It's going to count towards your psych GPA. And you can start off with a psychology class, but it still gives you time to take that 101, which I think is much more fundamental. But you don't have to take that class. It's just one of the ones that is a possibility. Someone asked about AP scores. Yeah, so it can take a while for AP scores to get sent and for admissions to process your AP scores. This is the other reason why we say to wait on 101, because it may take a while for the office, admissions office, to tell you whether you need to take it. Lots of students qualify for AP credit for their psychology class. So we want to make sure that you don't take it if you don't need to, if you've already fulfilled that requirement. So that's good. How do you find your enrollment appointment? It should be in your student portal. It should tell you when you're able to register. It should have a date and a time listed there for you in your student portal. Other questions?
Can you repeat what order you recommend taking these classes?
Yes, you should take 101 first. So I would say take that in the spring, 201 in the fall, 202 the following spring, and 300 the following fall. Oh, and someone asked if you can take 110 and 101 together. Yes, you can. Those you can take together. It's only the 101, 201, 202, 300 lab sequence, right, that is has to be taken separate semesters. After you finish that sequence, you can take things concurrently. And in fact, you can take like 341 the same time you're taking 201. So as long as you have the prerequisite for, say, abnormal psychology, which is 101, you could take it the same time you were taking 201. But the problem is for these classes, the 101, 201, 202, 300, these classes really build on each other. So those classes we need to make sure are separate, right? So so someone asked, should we not so if we don't have our AP scores, what do we do to take it the first semester? If you're sure that you passed, you can assume that you have it, but it's good to wait and make sure it's on your TDA. Again, that's why I recommend waiting till spring to do your 101, because by then everything should have been taken care of. So send those scores in, have them processed, and then you'll know what you need. You'll have a much better idea. So you're only registering for fall classes. That's all, just fall classes right now. Spring classes, you won't register for those until around November. Right, so other verbal questions?
You know how you mentioned we would need we're still gonna be missing units. Are we already supposed to have a minor, or that comes through the years we're in college?
You can, most students don't start out with a minor. You sort of add that on. What I would recommend is maybe when you're looking at your GE classes, that you take classes that would be, that you might be interested in minoring in. So maybe if you look at that long list of things that you are going to take for GEs, in every section, you pick a class in, sociology, because you think maybe that might be a minor, and then you can take it and see if you really do like it. Someone asked if the Honors Society Psych changes what classes you should take, and no, it doesn't. Honors program, which is a very separate thing, and you would need to talk to the honors program, that has its own classes, but not the Honors Society of Psychology. That doesn't really change what courses you take. Do we have to enroll? Do you have to enroll on your registration date when it opens? No, you do not. That is the first point at which you can register. I do recommend that if you can, you register as early as possible, because then you can shift your classes, right? So you can move your classes around, deciding, once you're in a class, it's much easier to then drop and add, and you can do that up until classes start. So, there's a lot of flexibility there. All right, other questions? I'm gonna stop sharing unless we have another. And as far as the honors program, I don't have a lot of information about that. For that, I would go search for the honors program and contact someone directly there and see, if you can find out any information. All right. If we cannot schedule an appointment with the Academic Advisory Center, how will we get our GE requirements? They have drop-in hours, right? So I just posted some not too long ago, or posted this link where they do have drop-in hours for academic advisement. You can also meet with someone in the Success Center, so they can help you with that as well. I can look at your TDA. Your TDA actually has a roadmap, and that roadmap is going to be unique to you and when you started. It also just tells you what to take. It'll say, take one of these, take two, and take one of this. And Dr. Trevitt is going to put a link to the GE requirements in the chat box, so you can check that. The drop-in hours for Academic Advising Center is on their website, right? So Academic Advising Center said I've been, emailing this to students today. They had some listed. I don't know how overwhelmed they are with things being orientation this week. So maybe they are, I don't know, but it's something to check out. Oh yes, and Dr. Trevor says you could have multiple minors. That is true, absolutely. You're allowed to have double majors, minors. I've seen
Don't really recommend it, but definitely possible.
Well, I mean, it depends. Some students love their minors and they just take a bunch of them. But most students take one. But this is your education. You're in control, right? You're the one choosing your major. You choose your minor. This is for you to direct. We're here to help guide you to make sure it goes smoothly, but you're making the choices. Right. All right, I'm almost done. Is there another question? One more.
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question about English 301. You talked about that briefly. Can we take that this year, or is that a later class that we should take?
It's probably going to be at the earliest your second year, right? Because you're going to want to take your other English, you're going to need to take your other English classes first before you take your upper division English class. I just wanted, because it shows up in a different part of your TDA. It doesn't show up, it's not a GE requirement, it is an upper division writing requirement. I wanted to make sure you knew that it existed so that it didn't take you by surprise when someone says, don't forget to take English 301. And you're like, what? I didn't even know I needed that. That has happened to a few students who were just surprised it even existed, but because it's in a different part of your TDA. And when you come to an advising appointment, like psychology advising, for example, and I think they probably do this in academic advising and in the success team, we all go over your TDA. So if you have questions about, I don't understand what this means, or I'm not sure what that means, let us know. We're happy to guide you through the TDA. I know when you first look at it, it's super overwhelming, right? This long document with all this stuff, it's telling me to take this, take that. It can be very overwhelming, but people like Dr. Blackman and Dr. Trevitt and I, we spend all day looking at TDAs. So, we've looked at dozens of them today, so, we're used to looking for things and, we can help you interpret it. And there are times when we don't know what something is either, right? Something unique that, that we haven't seen before, but we can ask and find out what it is too. So we can help you with your TDA, and that's a really good roadmap. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end things.